Hi Last Watchers, I'm back from my travels and have a stack of watches waiting for review. Before I unpack my bags and deal with the dirty socks, I thought it might be appropriate to look at the Namo GMT. Namo are a prospective new micro brand hoping to launch on Kickstarter before the end of the year, with their watches being delivered in 2023. The brand owner, Lewis, is a man after my own heart. He has a keen interest in the martial arts and trains in Kung Fu. He's also done his fair share of travelling, fallen in love with Thailand and got into Buddhism, all of which has heavily inspired the design of his first watch. A watch that he has taken some time to perfect. In all, 3 years from concept to finished product. He seems quite chilled about the whole process, the benefits of being a Buddhist. Before I get started, I should point out a few things. Firstly, the GMT is a prototype and therefore may show some signs of wear. It also may differ slightly from the production models. Secondly, I filmed the footage a month ago, before my trip, and my review may not be as thorough given that I no longer have the watch in hand. Lastly, I'm not being paid for this review, nor is there an expectation of picking up a freebie if the watch goes into production. Allowing a modicum of leeway for my calipers, the Namo has a case width of 41.7mm. The bezel sits a little wider at 42.2mm. It has a lug-to-lug length of 47.7mm. A lug width of 21.8mm, pretty much 22mm, and a case thickness, including the sapphire glass, of 12.4mm. The 0316L stainless steel case is entirely brushed with a white stature that may have been initially inspired by the Rolex Submariner. It gives the impression of having an almost square footprint. Don't be fooled. The right hand side of the case has a guarded screw-down crown engraved with the Unalome logo. Beneath this, at the 4 o'clock position, is what looks like a flush-fitting screw head, which completely bamboozled me. Lewis explained that this is a secondary internal crown, which I will explain shortly. The main crown unthreads and allows you to hack the movement, adjust the date and the GMT hand. The circular brushed bezel helps to balance out the proportions of the case. It's wide, and for good reason. There's a clue here in that its outer edge has some very wide spaced out polished knurling. The bezel is not fixed. It's actually a bi-directional 120 click rotating bezel that adjusts the inner internal city chapter ring. The side internal crown mentioned previously is designed to lock the bezel and chapter rings to ensure the watch's water resistance. Although I have to admit, I'm not entirely sure how this is done without a tool, as it seems to move quite freely as the bezel rotates. Lewis may need to explain this further on his website to the unenlightened, myself included. I should also add that rotating the bezel wasn't particularly easy. Having wide-spaced, low-profile polished knurling makes it quite difficult to grip. That slight overhang on the case is a necessity. The case design and bezel operation is quite unique, and due to its intricacy, I'm told it was made in Switzerland. The crystal on the GMT is a very subtle double-domed sapphire glass that adds very little to the thickness of the watch. To help with visibility, it has an inner anti-reflective coating. Below the dome is a sunburst grey dial. The GMT will be available in 3 colour options, a standard black, a royal blue, but I think this sunburst grey is the pick of the bunch. It has character without being too ostentatious. The dial is framed by the black inner rotating chapter ring with white printed capital cities from around the globe. Bangkok, the capital of Thailand, is amongst them. I wouldn't expect anything less. Within this is a further 24-hour ring for the GMT hand that has been divided into night and day at the 6 AM and 1800 hour markers, with white designating day and blue to represent the night. What is noticeable here is that the colours change just after the 6 and 18, no doubt to save some printing issues with the white and black Arabics on the transition from day to night, but it completely throws out the balance of the ring, making it look slightly off kilter. It's a small detail that may bug the hell out of you. There are large, pilot-styled applied Arabic hour markers with polished frames filled with 6 layers of BGW9 loom. There may be more on the production models. Below the 12 o'clock is the Unalom logo and the Namo branding, both printed in white. Namo is the first word from a Thai prayer that pays respect to Buddha. The Unalom is a single line design that represents the winding path we take through life to the straight line of enlightenment. It's also a very popular tattoo. Above the 6 o'clock is a blue-printed GMT designation and white print referencing the watch's water resistance to 10 atmospheres or 100 metres. There's a date window at the 3 o'clock position with white Arabics on a black date wheel that blends well with the grey dial. The GMT is a 4-hander with polished pencil hands for the hours and minutes, both filled with BGW9 loom, and a polished ticking stick hand for the seconds. Yes, ticking, not sweeping. There's a blue GMT hand with a loom-filled arrow tip. I'll add a loom shot here where you may be surprised to see that the GMT ring is also loomed. It's quite weak compared to the hour markers and hands, but it's a nice touch that may be improved upon on the production models. That's wishful thinking and not a guarantee. Did I say ticking? The Namo gets its time-telling and GMT capabilities courtesy of the Swiss-made Ronda 515-24, a battery-powered quartz movement with one joule that is rated for accuracy between -10 and +20 seconds per month. The battery should give you close to 4 years of trouble-free service before it needs replacing. Obviously, I would love this to be an automatic GMT. It's doable, but at a cost that may be troublesome for a Kickstarter. As it stands, the Namo will be launched at a fairly tempting super early bird price of £210. It will come in a watch roll and with a 12 months guarantee. The price will increase incrementally to £220, then £230. The full retail price will be £279.99. Get in early if you like what you see. I'll add a link to the Namo website in the video description below. The diver style caseback has a stamped engraving of a strikingly scary Hanuman, king of the monkeys. Here's a highly polished outline on a sand-blasted background. Around his perimeter are details of the watch's credentials, a stainless steel construction, quartz movement, a dual time zone. The watch is not defined as a true GMT. That's a whole other video. It's sapphire glass and it's 100 metres of water resistance. The all-brushed 3-link bracelet starts with 22mm solid end links before tapering to 20mm at the clasp. The clasp jumps out to 24mm if you include the fold-over safety release. The fold-over is engraved with the Namo name and the clasp with the Unalom logo. There's a double push-button release that reveals a fully milled deployant. The bracelet lacks any half links but does have 6 holes of micro-adjustment, ensuring a near enough perfect fit. Luckily the bracelet came sized for my fairly average 7-inch wrist, so I didn't need to resize it. It has a fairly standard pushpin system if you do. Lewis tried out various bracelets from several manufacturers before eventually opting to have a bespoke bracelet made for him. His persistence has paid dividends here, as the finished article marries well with the watch to give a very comfortable fit. I'm a notorious bracelet fan, and this is one of the best I've had on wrist, though it has to be said, the case design also plays a large part in that comfort. I've been following Namo on social media for quite some time, and had just assumed that they were a fully fledged brand. It was only when Lewis offered up the GMT for review that I realised they were yet to launch. I'm somewhat glad after having his watch in hand that it didn't disappoint. If I'm being picky, and that's what I'm here for, then I would like to see a thicker application of loom on the GMT ring, and a more legible, perhaps applied logo on the dial, as that white has a tendency to disappear against the sunburst grey. Remember though, other dials are available. I would definitely appreciate more knurling on the bezel, or better fingers to grip it with, and a clearer understanding of the inner crown and how it works. Feel free to help me here in the comments below. I get the impression that Lewis is a patient man who doesn't rush through life. That patience seems to have paid off with his GMT, and I really hope he gets enough backers for his Kickstarter launch. Although I would prefer it to be an automatic, he's produced a great looking, well finished, cleverly designed grab and go watch that seems to comfortably wrap around the wrist. My only disappointment with the GMT was having to remove it from my own wrist and return it. The last watch to have that effect on me was the considerably more expensive Nevada Grenchen Chronomaster. Feel free to share your thoughts on the Namo GMT in the comments below. For those that are interested, I'll add a link to the Namo website in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.